Okay. Albert Einstein once said, "I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will definitely be fought with sticks and stones," meaning that World War III will definitely have the potential to wipe out the human race. Now, some of you might be asking, what events would trigger World War III? Now, for most of you who don't know me, World War III is something that has haunted me since I was a kid. But the question I never really asked myself was, who or what would start World War III? The first, the first thing that would start, the first and obvious thing, the first thing that obviously comes to my mind that would obviously be a catalyst for World War III is a domestic or foreign terrorist group. All it would take is for a domestic or foreign terrorist group is all it would take is for a domestic or foreign terrorist group to get their hands on a chemical, biological, is to get their is all it would take is for a domestic or foreign terrorist group to get their hands on a CBRN weapon, which they would use against any city in the United States, Canada, or any of the NATO countries, and that would basically kick off. That would basically start and that was one way in a and like I said, a domestic or foreign terrorist group getting their hands on a CBRN weapon would definitely be one way that World War III would start. But again, and then a second way World War III would start, another way World War III would start is North and South Korea. North and South Korea have embraced some have not always had the best relationship, and for quite some time, most ever since ever since the Korean War of the ever since the Korean War the Korean the last time that North Korea invaded South Korea was in 1950, and North and South Korea have not had the best relationship since. So you guess you could say that the Korean War was definitely a World War III close call, and then the time after that was another World War III close call with the Cuban Missile Crisis. And the most recent World War III within the past 5 years, and within the past 5 to 10 years, the most recent World War III close call has been the 2020 and within the past 10 years, within the past 10 years, the most recent World War III close call has been the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, I definitely consider the most recent World War III close call. Because not because these days because with the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, I'm never sure whether I'm going to be waking up with the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine now a year and a half in. I'm never quite sure whether I'm going to be waking up to hear the wailing of the air raid sirens, and whether I'm going to have to gather my supplies and then gather the necessary food and equipment to get out of town and go somewhere where I can seek shelter. Because, what if tomorrow I were to wake up and hear the wailing of the air raid sirens? I would definitely have to start evacuating and definitely make my way to a safe location. Because, I would definitely want to make sure that I get to a safe location in case World War III were to start. So, you know, you know, I definitely believe that now with the technology we have now, um, mankind is more likely to annihilate itself, to completely annihilate itself. To the point, it's definitely more. I mean, if you think about it now, with the technology we've had since the end of the Cold War, I believe that mankind is more likely to annihilate itself more than ever. I mean, even given the technology we've had since the end of World War II, and also since the end of the Cold War, I believe mankind has come ever closer to completely destroying itself with just the single push of a button. Because, but again, who's not to say that World War III could start any day now, and that we could come, very close to just completely just destroying ourselves completely. Because honestly, I'm betting my life that World War III will literally happen within our lifetimes. So, I'm just I'm counting on it to happen in our lifetimes. I'm counting on something to go down. And I'm definitely planning to survive it. I'm definitely planning to survive it. Come hell or high water. But if I had to walk the world, that make you fall for me, I would do it in a heartbeat. But, you know, I'm, you know, I'm getting to that point in my life where I'm realizing that I'm just literally at that point in my life where I'm realizing that with all the immoral behavior that people are capable of, we're definitely living in the end times. I mean, if you literally look in the Bible's book of Revelations, you know, John of Patmos clearly described there are certain signs, that will lead up to the end times. I mean, I I've always told myself that while John of Patmos may have been like a seer, he definitely wasn't crazy. And that perhaps the things that John of Patmos saw might be starting to come true. And that maybe the things that John of Patmos saw were also warnings of the future generations, that the times we're living in and all the corrupt and immoral behavior that that all the corrupt and sinful and immoral behaviors that people do in the present day are just the beginning, I should say, are literally the beginning of the end of everything, and are literally the catalyst for what will become the end times. I mean, if you also look at other biblical prophecies mentioned throughout the Bible, you'll see that they're very similar. They're very similar to what they almost match up perfectly to what's going on in the world today. Like all the sinful and immoral behavior that people do today when it comes to to like I mean, just mainly all the when it comes to like racism and domestic violence and drug dealing and drug smuggling and all that stuff. Those are just examples of classic sinful and immoral behavior that people are just capable of. And to me, all the sinful and corrupt behavior, the corrupt and immoral behavior that people are capable of is definitely a sign, are definitely signs of the beginning of the end of all things of the human race. I mean, if you think about like, I mean, even in all the group homes, I've been at and been in, and all the group homes I've been in as an adult, in all the halfway houses and group homes I've been in as an adult, I've seen different, I've seen varying levels of immoral behavior in the different halfway houses I've been in as an adult. And I can tell you, I've considered those immoral behaviors by the caregivers and support staff just definitely signs of the beginning of the end for all mankind. And so I definitely believe we're living that, like I said, all the corrupt and immoral behaviors of that that people are capable of when they live, and when they work in places like the one in the like the place I'm living in right now, that's just like a sign of the beginning of the end for all mankind. And this is like literally not something I would make up. Because as a very devout non-denominational Christian, I've seen human behavior at its worst, at its very worst. And even the group home staff I have now, I've seen them have I've even the people I live with now and the group home staff I work with now, I've seen them do very horrible. I've seen them have very immoral behavior. And I believe it's definitely a sign of the beginning of the end of I definitely see it. I definitely see that immoral behavior as a sign of the beginning of the end of all things. I believe that one day it will all come down to who will be saved and who will be left behind to endure the tribulation. Because even though some people might claim to be devout Christians, they might just be creating a ruse to get saved, to be taken in, to be saved when the rapture comes. Because when the rapture comes, even though some people might be claimed to be devout Christians, they might not actually be that devout. And they're just saying that just to just to try to be saved in the last days. Because I know I will be saved. I know I am devout enough to be saved when the last days come. I know that I know that I am devout enough to be considered a tribulation saint. And, I can tell my prescribers for a fact that I am devout enough to be considered a tribulation saint. That I will be the one to battle the Antichrist when the time comes. And whoever the Antichrist is, I don't know who he or she is, but I can tell my subscribers for a fact that the Antichrist is most likely already among us. And the same can be said for the false prophet. I believe both the Antichrist and the false prophet are most likely amongst us right now. While we probably haven't been introduced to them just yet, I'm absolutely certain the Antichrist and the false prophet are amongst us right now. And it's only just a matter of time before the Antichrist and the false prophet actually make themselves known. and um, actually start trying to take over the world because I've seen how while I know that I am because like I said, I am very I've realized that I am devout enough of a Christian. I'm devout enough of a Christian to be saved. Because some say the world will end in fire. Others say it will end in ice. I believe the world will end in fire. I will I believe the world will first end in fire and then will end in ice. Because God's gonna burn up the earth. He's gonna burn up the heavens, and then he's gonna glaze everything over in ice. And then there's gonna be a new heaven and a new earth, and everything will be made anew. All you have to do is believe. Just believe that Jesus died to forgive our sins, and that on the third day he rose. Because the Bible tells me so. Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. They are weak, but he is strong. Jesus loves me, he will stay close beside me all the way. He's prepared a home for me, and someday his face I'll see. And he's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. That much I also know. So I don't have to worry I don't have to worry about stuff I don't have to worry so right now I don't have to worry about being left behind during the tribulation. I really don't have to worry about being left behind during the tribulation. I know I know that I'm gonna meet the Lord in the air and be one of the tribulation saints that's gonna help Jesus fight the last battle of Armageddon. Because all the corrupt and immoral people that don't do the biddings of Jehovah are the ones who are gonna be left behind to suffer during the tribulation. These very and these very and like and once the tribulation starts, all the very evil, sinful, immoral, corrupt people will be left behind who suffer during the tribulation, literally, and suffer the 7 years of the tribulation. Then there will be 1,000 years of peace, and then there will be a new heaven and a new earth. And in the end, it all comes down to what you, what you believe. And my question to you is, would you rather be someone who's immoral and corrupt and sinful, or would you rather be a good, devout Christian like I am? And would you rather be saved and would you rather be saved by the tribulation? And would you rather be saved by the wrath, or I should say, or let me rephrase that. Would you rather be saved by the rapture? So, you know, so, I'm just saying, I would rather be saved by the rapture rather than endure the 7 years of the tribulation. I would rather be taken up into the clouds to be with the Lord in the air than suffer the 7 years of than endure the 7 years of the tribulation. Well, I believe that everyone has the ability to change their ways. Not just one person, everybody. I believe every person has the ability to change their ways. I'm already in the process of changing my ways. I'm already working on bettering myself because in previous year in the past in the in because because in as an adult I haven't always been in full control of myself. And now, you know, and now I'm actually in full control of myself. And I'm working on changing my way. I'm in the process of changing my ways. And I've left my abusive past behind. And I'm in the process of changing my ways and not letting the past catch up with me. I'm in the process of making myself a better person, not only for myself, but for others around me. So people around me will see that I'm not the nasty person they knew me as, and that I'm a much better person than I was, say, like 5 years ago or even 10 years ago. And that I'm not the nasty psychotic person I was, say, like 5 years ago. And that I'm more in control of myself than I ever was. Because I know I haven't always been the best. I always haven't had the best relationship with people. I realize that. I realize that I haven't always had the best relationship with others. And it's gotten me alienated from a lot of places. It's cost in my relation and the nasty relationship I've had with others has gotten me alienated from a lot of places. And it's caused people to really hate me. But now I'm more in control of myself, and I'm more aware of my surroundings, and I'm more aware of my actions, and I'm also more in control of my emotions, my thoughts, and my actions. I don't let I don't let small things set me off. Knowing that in the past I've let people get on my bad side, and I've let people make me angry, and I've let people get on my bad side, and I've let people just do just do really just, I've let people just do really bogus stuff, just do really bogus horseshit to me. And now I'm determined not to let that happen ever again. I'm determined to not let people do deal me. I'm not. I'm. De- I'm determined. I'm nowadays. I'm determined. I'm determined to not let people do bad things to me ever again. So what I've told myself is that because is and where I am now, I've told myself no one's ever gonna do anything bad to me ever again. As long as I'm here at ResCare, no one will do bad things to me ever again. If someone wants to hurt me here at ResCare, it's probably gonna be the last thing they'll ever do. So, you know, I'm determined I'm determined to not let the people here at ResCare do corrupt, do sinful things to me. And I admit there are some pretty nasty people here at ResCare. But they won't get in my way ever again. I'll agree that my roommates have been pretty nasty people at times. But they're not gonna get in my way. Not on my watch. My roommates are not gonna do, are not gonna, are not gonna be, are not gonna, are not gonna be, are not